Hey everybody, this is Halstead and Andrew McMillan with REH CPA. Today we want to talk about the dreaded CP2000 notice. The CP2000 notice is a notice that you'll get from the IRS. It usually appears in the summertime, but it's nothing to really stress out about. I've got Andrew McMillan here with me today to talk about the CP2000. Andrew, what can you tell us about it?
So basically the CP2000 notice is just the IRS notifying you that what you have on your tax return doesn't match what they have on their side. So anytime you get a W-2, a 1099, sold some stocks, anything that has income generated for you, most likely it's going to get reported to the IRS on some sort of, on a W-2 or a 1099. All those go to the IRS. The IRS knows what income you have out there. So ideally, the income that you have on your tax return matches perfectly with what the IRS has on their end, and there's no issue. But sometimes there are some differences and some mismatches. So that's basically what a CP2000 notice is the IRS kicks you out a letter saying, hey, we noticed that you have this income reported to us, but it's not on your tax return, and they're proposing a balance due. So it's very important to know, though, that these notices are computer generated. There's not a human behind the scenes matching numbers together, putting the pieces together. It's just a computer generated automatic notice, so they're pretty common. So just understand that they're not always correct. There's a good chance that the notice is probably wrong. So usually you just have to look at the notice. It tells you what they have, what's not on your tax return, and you have to start figuring out, is it right or is it incorrect?
So what do you do if you disagree with what's on the CP2000?
So if you disagree with the notice, you want to respond to the notice. Sometimes we get clients and they file an amended tax return or something, changing something on their return so that it matches better, but you don't want to file an amended return. You want to respond directly to the notice, and there's going to be a box that you can check on that notice that says, I disagree with this notice. Check that box, and then there's a section on there where you can write in your CPA's name and sign it over, and that way your CPA can respond to the notice on your behalf if you want them to take care of this for you. I recommend having your CPA at least look at it, whoever prepared your return, because these are fairly common. We see them all the time, and we can usually get a good understanding of what's going on.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree with you there. They should notify their CPA because the IRS, whenever they make these changes on the CP2000, they're going to make the changes that benefit them.
Right.
And they're not going to take into account some other things that you may, like they may find some stock sales that you didn't report. Well, they're going to hit you with the full gross proceeds rather than taking in the cost basis number. So you have to say, okay, yeah, I did have the gross proceeds, but I also had stock basis, whereas they won't do that.
Right.
So we like to, if there is going to be a change, we do like to run it through the software and get the correct amount of tax due. So if you do have a CP2000 and you feel like it's somewhat correct, then definitely get with your CPA so that way they can run the numbers and respond back to the IRS with the proper amount of tax due.
Right. So yeah, if you disagree, that's what we do. We go through it, we make sure the number is correct, we figure out where the differences are, and then you just respond to the notice with a letter. You write a letter, you say, hey, we got your letter, this is what we propose the new balance to be, this is what the adjustments are, this is why we feel like we're correct. You just paint the picture of what is accurate, and then you want to include those forms or schedules or 1099s that support your stance. So it's a pretty easy response. You can fax these responses in.
Yeah.
They're very common, so if you get one, it's a very common occurrence. It's nothing to get too stressed about. Just get it over to your CPA so that they can respond, because usually you only have a certain period of time to respond to these, so you want to make sure that you get a response in pretty quickly.
You definitely respond. Not responding, they're going to hit you with the hardest thing they can.
Right.
So
it doesn't go away.
Yeah, it doesn't go away. And yeah. So anyways, if you've received a CP2000 and you don't currently have a CPA to help you, feel free to give us a call and we'll give you some assistance. Thanks.